Let's move on to main topic number 1. And our first main topic today gets submitted to us by Mr. TJ Lynn. And TJ Lynn writes, Scorsese is my favorite director of all time, but I'm not sure he understands economy. His upcoming film, Killers of the Flower Moon, would cost about $200 million, which he's planning on doing with Leonardo DiCaprio, by the way. About $200 million, according to reports. And now he is considering Apple or Netflix to fund it. This baffles me. How on earth someone of his caliber cannot understand simple math when it comes to cost-gain analysis? Why would you need that kind of money to make a drama? All right, thanks a lot for sending that in, man. And yes, Marty Scorsese right now is working on Killers of the Flower Moon. He's trying to get this movie up and running. Now, here's the background on this. He was supposed to be making this movie with Paramount. Paramount, cool with it. His original budget, according to reports, was $175 million. Again, why he needs that kind of money, I don't know. However, he has revamped that budget that is now ballooned to over $200 million for this thing. At which point, Paramount said, thanks, but no thanks. Please shop this around elsewhere. And they apparently are okay to maybe come on board and help out as a financer a little bit. Now, there's a key thing in here as well, that it's not just Paramount. The film is now expected to cost over $200 million, and Paramount told Scorsese to seek out other partners. According to the report, Scorsese also reached out to Universal and MGM, but they both turned him down. But Paramount is open to a deal that would still allow them maybe to participate as a financier or as a distributor. I don't know what Martin Scorsese is thinking at this point. Now, look, it became clear, despite the success that he had, although it didn't make money, but the success he had with The Irishman. In the midst of all that, he still made it pretty clear where he wanted to see his movies was on a big screen. That's where he wanted to see his movies. But Rob, there are a couple of questions that come to mind here. Now, I got to admit, I haven't read the script. So maybe if I did, I'd be like, oh my God, how can you not spend $200 million? But my first reaction as a film fan is, what the flying F do you need $200 million for to make a movie like this? And by the way, let's put this in context. One of his most beloved films in recent years, Wolf of Wall Street, that movie made under $380 million. Wolf of Wall Street, Oscar nominated. Everybody talks about it. Everybody loves that movie. Woo-ha! Did not make $400 million. How can you expect to come out and do that type of thing? I don't know what he's thinking, but I can tell you what. With The Irishman, which I think didn't the budget on Irishman end up being about $175 million or something like that in its own?
Craziness.
Listen, and some people, after they heard all the Oscar buzz, they said, oh, I bet the studios feel dumb not picking it up. No, they don't, because you know how much money that movie would have made in theaters? Not enough. It would have lost the money. The studios made a good call to turn it down. And guess what? The movie didn't make Netflix any money either. They saw it as a prestige play, and on that, it has value for them. It does. It's a value add for them to make themselves be taken more seriously as a player in this field. A prestige play for them, it added value. So for them, I could see it. But now Scorsese is once again put in the position he did not want to be in. He's now having to go to streamers to see if he can get the money to make his movie. He's gone to Netflix and he's gone to Apple. Could be either one of them. But he tried with Paramount. They ditched him. And before going to Netflix and before going to Apple, he went to other studios. He went to MGM. He went to Universal. And they both said, sorry, Marty, we love you, but these numbers don't work. We're going to lose money if we do this. And they turned him down. Rob, I fully expect this to be another Marty Scorsese movie that will be fantastic to watch. It will be awesome, but probably wouldn't have made any money. But at some point, Rob, even this utopia, you and I have talked about this before, even in this utopia of, hey, filmmakers, just go and let the streamers pay for it. At some point, that gravy train stops, because at some point, these streamers actually have to make money and not be in $15 billion of debt like Netflix is. So, I don't know. You see this situation, Rob. What's your analysis of it?
Well, to be honest, I see this movie in terms of production, what they need. It's sort of a cross between There Will Be Blood and Dances with Wolves. Not that the story is about that. The story is actually really interesting about how oil was discovered on the land of the Osage Indians. I think it's how you say Osage Indians in the 20s. And what happened was, once the oil was going to be pumping, those Native Americans that lived on that land they're all going to make a lot of money. And there was a plot against them where they were being murdered so they wouldn't have to be paid by the oil men and the ranchers. And then there was an investigation, and the FBI came in and found out what was going on. So it's a really interesting story. But from a production standpoint, I don't understand. I mean, sure, you have to evoke the 1920s Oklahoma, but how hard is that really? I mean, if you're going to show like Stampede, that's why I said Dances with Wolves, stampeding buffalo or cattle or whatever it is you're going to show. But I don't understand why they would have to pay $200 million. I really don't know where that money is going. Even if you're using special effects to show the oil fields or something, it's not like you're creating Thanos. I mean, it's actors. It's essentially a 1920s dusty story set in Oklahoma. And unless there's something I'm missing, I don't understand how a movie like that can be that expensive. Yeah. I don't know. And like you said, John, who's going to make... Look, admittedly, the book is... I haven't read the book, but it came out a couple of years ago, and everyone says it's one of the great nonfiction books of the last 20 years or whatever. And I get that. The story's really interesting. But it seems to me like you could tell that story. It's people in negotiating contracts, and it's not like there was a war or something, unless I'm missing out what I've understood what the story's about. But
even if it did have a war, would it even then still require $200 million? Like, is he planning on getting Clint Eastwood to play a teenager in this movie? And he's going to do his digital de-aging all again? I mean, I don't know.
I don't know. I think that you got to come down, like you pointed out. I love Wolf of Wall Street, but it didn't make $1 billion. And with this kind of movie, even if you have prestige stars in it, to make something like this for $200 million seems not only it just seems reckless to me. And I'm like, this movie should cost $70 million. But then again, I don't know what they want to do, but I just don't see how this movie can cost this much money.
No, and you've got to make, and again, like there are people who will say, well, John, why do you care? Why do you and Rob care how much it'll cost? Because here's why. Ultimately, everybody forgets this is all correlated. The more money the studios spend to make these movies, the more ticket prices go up. It's just the way it works because they need to recoup that money. And this is an industry especially for a guy like Marty Scorsese, who early on his career learned and knows how to make movies on shoestring budgets, and you do what you can. Why he needs $200 million to make something like this, I have no idea. I'm sure it'll be great, but I'm also 100% sure it's not going to take $200 million to do it. So anyway, guys, question here for you is, what do you think about this story? Do you think he's being nuts? Do you think the studios are being nuts for turning it down? I don't know. Maybe you're seeing some things and angles on this that we're not looking at right now. That's the best thing about having a community. What do you guys think about it? Jump down into the comment section below and let us know your thoughts. All right.